Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be covering two topics in one video, something I've not done in forever, and I'll be leaving timestamps for those who are only interested in one topic, so you can skip ahead to the topic you're interested in. First we'll start with Post Malone's comments about working with Eminem, and then later in the video we'll handle the Payola allegations that the FCC has now asked the RIAA to investigate. This particular story is quite interesting, especially for those that have been with this channel for months now, as if you can recall, I did a video on Payola months ago, and as you can see, I was right on the money on that one. So Post Malone released his latest album, Hollywood Bleeding, and one of the high-profile features on the album is the legendary Ozzy Osbourne. And in a recent interview, Post Malone talked about collaborating with Eminem. He started the conversation by stating, "What a effing legend," and moved on to state that there was a time where we were working everything out, but timing-wise, sometimes they just don't match up at the right time. There will be a time. So Post Malone ends it suggesting that he's not done seeking that Eminem collaboration, which is what he means by there will be time, and I honestly want to know what you guys think of this. For one, I don't believe Post Malone's style of hip-hop matches up well with Eminem's, and I also believe his style is one that Eminem has already criticized on albums like Kamikaze, you know, the whole auto-tune infused hip-hop songs that most upcoming rappers at the moment tend to favor. But if this was a similar case to Nicki Minaj when she first tried to get a feature with Eminem, then what Post Malone means by "sometimes they just don't match up at the right time" suggests that he sent tracks to Eminem and none of them was approved by Eminem until there was no time left before the album released. Before we continue, remember to support the channel if you enjoy content like this by smashing the like button. The likes are free, and subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video. To know what I mean by comparing this case to Nicki's first collaboration with Eminem on Roman's Revenge, what Post Malone meant about the timing could be similar to how Nicki explained it in 2010 on working with Eminem, and I quote, "We went out on a whim and put it in the air like it'd be great if Eminem would collaborate with us. I remember I kept talking about it and I thought, it can't hurt. I sent him one record and he didn't love it. He didn't say, I don't love it. He just said, can you send me something that's a little more me? I sent him an email and thanked him for that, just having enough respect. Sometimes people don't respond. He had the respect at least to treat me like a peer." So as you can see, even Roman's Revenge wasn't straightforward, and I believe this case is similar to what Post was talking about when he said the timing didn't work out. Eminem probably did the same to him, so that collaboration will take a while if it ever happens. So what do you guys think about it? Let us know in the comments section. If you're strongly against the idea, in the middle and indecisive, or strongly in support of a song with Eminem and Post Malone, let us know. One more thing before we move on. Notice all this talk about Eminem recently. Mention Eminem and it makes the headlines, and some still question his relevance and impact. And now we move on to the second part of the video regarding the Payola allegations that have come up, and now the FCC commissioner has asked the RIAA to investigate Payola allegations. Early on in April this year, I made a video about Payola, and in that video, I talked about the current practices of Payola in the streaming era of music that are so blatant at the moment, and it is as if these companies don't even care anymore to hide it. And if you use streaming platforms like Spotify for free, you would have experienced what I'm talking about multiple times even if you don't know what Payola means. So we'll start with what Payola means for those who missed that video. Payola is the practice of exchanging money or goods with radio stations to secure airplay for artists, and this practice was the subject of a congressional investigation in 1960 that ended the career of iconic American DJ Alan Freed. Following the investigation, Congress amended the Federal Communications Act to require broadcasters to disclose if airplay for a song has been purchased. Now that I've explained what payola means, and since we are currently in 2019, you know it's no longer just radio where payola can be practiced, but also on streaming platforms. Playlists on platforms like Spotify, for instance, have gotten so huge that all it takes is for a song to be added to a particular playlist, and in no time it goes platinum in the United States depending on how long it stays in the playlist. Which brings up the question, what is preventing labels from going after the curators to pay them to add a particular song into the rotation? Now, in my experience using Spotify Freemium back in 2018, I noticed that when I selected a particular album to play from artists like Eminem, after 2 songs played, a song like Sicko Mode by Travis Scott or God's Plan by Drake was more likely to be inserted between songs, and I always wondered why those 2 songs. Now, I didn't see any indication that said these songs were paid adverts, but for some reason Spotify always favored those songs when I listened to rap albums at that time. When I made the video back in April, I discovered that I wasn't the only one that had experienced this on Spotify, and even on YouTube it was the same. I play an Eminem song and the autoplay feature has God's Plan as the next song waiting to be played, and I'm not making this up. This was my experience. Now, in this era of music, an artist can go diamond on streams alone, so you should really understand why this is cause for concern. And this is what the FCC Commissioner, Mike O'Reilly, asked the RIAA to investigate. The letter to the RIAA states, "To the extent that payola is currently occurring within the industry, I am writing to ask for your help in ensuring that the practice be discontinued." And from Billboard's report on this, in 2004, an investigation by then New York Attorney General Eliot Spitzer turned up extensive evidence of the practice, resulting in an agreement by the major record labels along with several radio chains to pay millions of dollars in settlements. While in 1960, investigation was seen as having little effect on curbing the practice, O'Reilly's letter suggests it was more successful than is commonly believed. In the time since the law was passed, the record industry has made great strides in curtailing the practice, he continues, and it is my sincere hope that recent allegations are being overstated or misrepresented. Though O'Reilly does not explicitly reference a specific press report regarding payola, the Rolling Stone published a widely read investigative piece last month that found the practice is still frequently used in the record industry today, albeit in different forms that exploit loopholes in the current law, including using third-party record promoters to bribe radio DJs and programmers. In 2015, Billboard published a story on payola's prevalence in the streaming space, though the FCC regulations that prohibit the practice only cover radio and television broadcasts. Now, this part of the story is key to what we are talking about because, as you can see, the FCC regulations that prohibit payola right now only covers radio and TV broadcasts, which makes it fair game for labels when it comes to music streaming. Let's continue O'Reilly's letter to the RIAA. Your association's members supply content to both traditional over-the-air broadcasts and streaming platforms and possess broad insight into the industry, O'Reilly's letter continues. As such, your association is uniquely situated to survey the practices of your industry and respond to press reports regarding alleged practices in order to help determine whether allegations of non-disclosure are actually occurring. In my personal experience using Spotify, the allegations of non-disclosure is actually occurring since I couldn't understand the reason why it was always Sicko Mode or God's Plan that played in between songs when I was a freemium user on Spotify in 2018. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one that experienced this back in September 2018. In fact, this was what pushed me to pay for Spotify Premium because I was sick of getting interrupted by those songs on the platform and there was no disclosure that it was paid promotion. Those songs are among the highest certified songs of 2018 fueled by streams, and now as you can see, Payola has reached a point where it can no longer be ignored, which is why the FCC commissioner wrote to the RIAA. So I wasn't making this up back then, and this is proof that there's cause for concern on this issue. My video was released in April before the widely read Rolling Stone report on Payola in August, but let's see if anything happens now that the FCC is involved. So leave your thoughts on this below, and I'd love to know if any of you guys have experienced this on streaming platforms. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and see you on the next one.